For me, A Tale of Our Time reflects the hopes and fears we experience. It's stories we wish to bring to life, it's visions we must dare to imagine. It's our collective imagination allowing us to dream of a better world. And we have to choose whether we want this new world to be shaped by our hopes or our fears.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tales of Our Times. This is a show where we discuss the stories that move us, what makes them so meaningful, and why others could or should find meaning in them as well. This is not a spoiler-free show, so bear that in mind as you continue to listen. We tackle movies, books, comics, and more. Where there's a story, there's a reason to read. I'm your host, Amanda Stevens, and joining me today in studio is my guest, Milène.
Hi.
Welcome. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Of course. First, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here today. So my name is Milène, or Milo internationally. I'm French. Maybe you can hear it from my accent, so I have to apologize for this in advance. I'm 32. I have a nomadic lifestyle, so I spend every winter in Taipei.
Wow.
From October to April. That's my favorite season here. If you're curious about that, I have a Substack newsletter called Stories of Milo, M-I-L-O. I used to work in tech. Now I'm looking for a job. If someone can help for that.
Now you know the Substack, so you know where to go look.
Yeah. And as a hobby, I like to write books. Last year, I wrote my 4th book and my first sci-fi novel.
Wow, that's so interesting. Oh my God. That makes sense. You write sci-fi. That makes a lot of sense for maybe why you picked this book. Right before I ask you to introduce it, can I ask you, is that your favorite genre? Or was that just kind of something that you wanted to explore?
It's something I wanted to explore. I wouldn't say it's my favorite one, but lately, the past years, I've been really into it. And that's why probably starting 2024, I started to write this book, and it's probably what influenced me a lot.
Yeah. I also feel like I go through genre phases.
Yeah.
Where I'm really into this right now, and then in a couple of months or maybe even a year, I'm like, okay, I'm on a new one. Yeah. Need to find something else. So let's get then into the story you brought.
So the title is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. It's a sci-fi book, and maybe you know this author from another book called The Martian. There was a movie with Matt Damon. It's Matt Damon on Mars, basically.
I saw that movie for a class.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so interesting. Okay.
Yeah, because this writer is well known for doing very science-accurate books.
That was why we watched it in class, was we talked about Mars colonization, and then I had my students watch it to be
perfect.
Do you see how hard it would be?
Yes. Impossible.
Yeah, it's basically very unideal.
You don't want that.
You don't want to do it. So, wow, cool. I think people will also recognize it because as this airs, it's just come out in theaters.
Yes.
So, really bear that in mind as you listen to that. But I would say listen to this podcast and then go watch it, maybe.
Yes.
You can give your recommendation at the end.
Yeah, and something I wanted to mention also about this book. In my case, I read it, but I heard it's a masterpiece as an audiobook.
Wow.
So that's, if your listeners are into audiobook, I know this is one of the top 5 audiobook ever made.
Oh my God. Okay, wait. Well, now I have to listen to it because I love audiobooks.
Okay,
but
try it.
I'm glad you said that because that comes up a lot on this show. That's such a high recommendation. Okay, I'm really excited about it. So before we get into the summary, is there anything else that you feel like we should know about this?
Well, something I like to make a disclaimer for is a very hard sci-fi book.
Oh, yeah.
So when I do the summary of it, please, I will not be mentioning every single science detail.
Right.
That's not my field, unfortunately.
Yes.
And it's the best part of the book. So I would highly encourage people to read it
to read it and then get all it. If you're what does that word mean? Go read the book.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Or just the reasoning behind something. I'm not skilled to explain it.
Yeah.
In the book, it's greatly written. I cannot reciprocate that. It's not.
Well, you just mentioned that about the author, Andy Weir, that he loves to do science accurate books.
Yes. He's really good at that.
Yeah. So anyway, that's your disclaimer, guys. That's on you. We'll do our best, but we're not going to teach you here today. We're just going to talk about this wonderful book. So let's get into it then. Milène, can you give us a summary? Oh, I keep clicking things. I don't know what's happening here. Can you give us a summary of Project Hail Mary?
Okay, so the book starts with our main protagonist, Rylan Grace. He wakes up in a room. He doesn't know who he is, what he's doing here. And slowly in the first scenes, the first chapters, we discover what's his name and what he's doing here. So basically, like something I should do a disclaimer about also is that the book has this dynamic where one scene you're in the present moment with Rylan Grace in space, and another scene is having a flashback back on Earth, maybe like 2-3 years before. And every flashback is giving us more clues about what's happening here. Like, what is he doing in the spaceship?
How did he end up here?
Exactly. Who he is, what's the issue, what's the mission, why? Because he wakes up and the 2 crewmates with him are dead.
Oh, wow.
Why is he alone? What's happening? So you see him going through the science of like, how do you determine you're in a spaceship? How does he determine that it's not in our solar system?
I'm just like thinking through like how disorienting that would be. What would you do? Oh my God.
Me, nothing.
I'm having like a crisis thinking about like how I would respond. I don't know.
So that's how we learned that he's a biology teacher, but he had a big career in academia. So he has all the skills to figure it out. And at some point in these first chapters, we realize what the premise of this book is, that humans are threatened of extinction. In our solar system, they find this microorganism that they call astrophage.
Okay.
An eater of star,
that
astrophage.
Sucks. Oh, no.
That's eating our sun away.
Oh.
And basically, so it will mean ice age, human extinction, like all the fun stuff you can imagine.
Yeah, that's what's coming now.
Exactly. And back on Earth, you meet all these fun characters. Like one of my favorite one is Strat. She's a Dutch corporate woman who has been handed all the international powers to solve this issue.
Well, it is a crisis. That
it is.
Okay, I
a
see.
Global
this
crisis.
This is like the global emergency powers response.
Yeah, and
okay.
that's the most fun dynamic. Was seeing like what would happen if all of us on Earth had to unite and cooperate, and how would it work? How would Russia, China, the US will be like, okay, guys, we have to do something. But these are my favorite chapters because it's something we don't see often in reality, and even less in books. Like for once, it was nice to see like what would happen if we would actually unite against a common threat.
Yeah.
So they start researching about what's happening and what this astrophage organism, and mostly like how to kill it. And they realize that other solar systems are also infected, and one that's infected doesn't have its sun decreasing. It's surviving there, but it's not surviving enough to kill a star.
Right.
And it's a solar system called Ceti. It's an actual solar system.
So I assume they go there to try to find out like what has held it back, basically.
Exactly. The issue is Ceti is 12,000 years away. But the good thing about astrophage is that it's a super powerful organism. They're basically going to use astrophage as fuel to propel the ship in space. And it will only take 3 years to go to Ceti, something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah.
So we start gathering like all this information from the flashbacks. So Rylan Grace in space is like, okay, so I have to study astrophage. I'm in Ceti. I understand. Because, I didn't mention that's important. At this point, they have 30 years until human extinction. Every day it will get colder.
It's every single day is going to be a little bit worse than the last.
Exactly.
And then in 30 years, there's going to be nothing left. Like
exactly.
That's the absolute dead zone. But way bad things are going to happen before 30 years.
Exactly.
So he's there in this other galaxy. He's there in this other galaxy trying to gather something from the astrophage.
Yeah. Until then, the book is already highly entertaining. Like, I would have been fine if it would have been this until the end. But then a major plot twist happened. And that's why I would like people not to watch the trailer of the movie, because this is revealed in the trailer. We're back with Rylan Grace in space. And out of nowhere, another spaceship appears. It's an alien. And that's when, like, already I was entertained with the book. I was going to finish it. I loved it. But from that moment on, I couldn't put it down.
Yeah.
And here I would like to recommend this book specifically for fans of Arrival. That's where this book is taking us right now. So we meet this alien
Oh my God.
who's basically like, it looks like a crab made of rock. So that's why he calls him Rocky.
Yeah.
Rocky is the best character ever. And so you also, like, they encounter logistic problem because humans, we can survive in one atmosphere. This alien can survive in his own atmosphere. Right. So you have logistic problem, you have linguistic problem, like they emit vibrations. So that's how they communicate. So you go through a few scenes where they try to build common ground of communication. And we find out that Rocky comes from the Iridian planet. He's a Iridiani. And he has the same issue as Ryle and Grace. Like, his planet is dying because their sun is being eaten away by astrophage.
Yeah, as you said, the astrophage is affecting other galaxies, which the humans also learned.
Exactly. He's alone on his ship because everyone died also. Because, of course, you can expect that they have different kind of science and they didn't know about radiation. They don't have eyes on their planet because they don't even have light.
Everything that you've said, I've been just like, again, I guess I have to say this because this is an audio podcast. Like, I keep nodding my head and like looking into the middle distance because I'm like, wow, that makes so much sense.
Yes.
That would be a big problem.
Yeah. So they never knew about radiation and space radiation. So when they were in space, all his crew died because of radiation except him, because he's an engineer.
So he was in like an insulated space.
He was in a space that next to the fuel of his ship, and the fuel is full of astrophage, and astrophage protects you against radiation. And they decide to team up together and find a solution, like study astrophage and see what's happening. Rocky is not a scientist, he's more of an engineer.
He's an engineer.
Yeah, but they're super complementary. So it makes a great team. And they form the sweetest friendship, which is one of the best part of this book, because they find a way to communicate. They found a way to cohabitate even in the logistic of the ships.
That's crazy. That's amazing.
They find out that in the solar system, astrophage has a predator. They call it Tomoeba.
Okay.
So it's basically another organism that's eating.
Consuming the astrophage.
Exactly.
Which is why it didn't kill the star, because it's keeping it in check, basically.
Exactly. So you think like, okay, easy, you just bring this predator back on Earth and it will solve everything. Except this predator is only here because it can only survive here. So what they start doing is called selective breeding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to then make one that could survive in your universe.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
They create selective breeding, like one predator to work on in our solar system and one that could work on Rocky's solar system. Of course, we have this very cute farewell scene where they say goodbye to each other, like knowing they will never meet again.
We're not going to see each other again. Yeah, we're going to different galaxies.
Yeah, it's so sad. Of course, at this point, they exchange knowledge. So Rylan gives, like a USB key. I don't know how it works.
Right.
Of like Wikipedia of Earth, like, hey, here's
all
human
of our
knowledge.
information. We can share this.
Yes. And Rocky does the same. And mostly he gives a super strong material called xenonite. And on the way back, Grace realizes that actually the Tomoeba, the predator they created, also developed the ability to go through xenonite. And Rocky's ship is full of xenonite. So probably what will happen is that the predator already has eaten away all the fuel of Rocky and he cannot go back home. He cannot save his planet. At this point, this mission for Grace and his initial crewmates, it was supposed to be a suicide mission.
Right.
They didn't have enough fuel.
It's a one-way.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a one-way thing. And you might wonder, like, how do they send back the information? Whereas they had placed like what they call beetles that are much smaller and can go through space much faster.
Right. They had some form of like sending information back, but they didn't expect that these guys would be able to come back.
Exactly, because it will take much more, like you can go much faster if there's no humans in the ship. So that's what he does. He sends back the beetles back to Earth and he goes on a mission now to save Rocky, knowing that now it's a true suicide mission. Because even if he has enough fuel to save Rocky, go back to Rocky's planet, he doesn't have enough to go back. And anyway, he doesn't have enough food. So he's truly going on a suicide mission to save his friend. And that's what happens. He goes save Rocky. Rocky is destroyed because he's like, you're saving me, but you're saving your planet, but you're killing yourself. Like, you're the only one sacrificing for everyone here. And Rocky has a great solution. Is that, oh, can you eat Tomoeba, the predator? And
That's a great question.
They find a way to make it happen. So they go back to Rocky's planet. They save his planet. And we have like a fast forward. The last chapter, we find out that Rylan Grace is now a biology teacher on Rocky's planet. Like they created his own little bubble ecosystem. Don't ask me to explain it. I just trusted it. I was like, okay, sure.
We're just going to believe the fiction. The fiction says they gave him new food. He got new food.
Exactly.
And that's it.
And the story ends on two good news. So first, the Eridianis, they came back with the good news. Hey, finally, your sun has came back at full luminance. So you can expect that
Yay,
Earth
so
was
the Earth
saved.
probably survived.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh.
The Eridianis are saved. And also, at that time, they have produced enough astrophage for Rylan Grace to go back to Earth. So we leave him, like the last page is him wondering, like,
Will I
should
survive?
should I even go back? Like,
Yeah.
is it worth it? Like, I'm old. And we see him kind of having fun teaching these alien kids.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. So like what a feel-good book it is.
Yeah, it's really like that. Like
For like a disaster book, it really has a good ending.
Yeah.
So let's just skip ahead then to what made this story so meaningful to you personally, if you don't mind.
Sure. Well, first, I love every character. I think it was very fun. Like as you said, like it's very feel good. Like you feel really good when you read it. I'm a big fan of linguistics, different culture, like how the languages you speak can form the way you act. How can your customs will affect you? And like these are aspects that are extremely developed in this book. And because that's also a reason that Arrival is one of my favorite book and movie. So I loved all of these things that I was like, oh my God, that's exactly for me. So I loved it. And of course, I loved the message of it, that friendship can save the world.
Right. Well, and it makes this is always one of my favorite genres of sci-fi, especially like with the world as it is today, where it's like, it's really easy to write a dystopia, but it's also really easy to write something where everybody kind of comes together, because things like that have happened in Earth's recent history.
Yeah.
Like the hole in the ozone layer. Everybody was like, wow, that's pretty bad. We should all immediately change what we do. And now it's like getting smaller, right?
Yeah.
So I always find these stories really like heartening.
We need them.
Yeah.
We need these stories.
It kind of helps you imagine like something that could be, maybe give you something to strive for.
Totally.
Right? So then is that what you think makes this a tale of our time, or is there something even more to that?
Yeah. So we're in March 2026 right now.
Yeah.
We're living times of division, doubt, and I do believe that a tale of our time is something that makes us dream for a better world, a better future. And we need these stories. Like we need to imagine these possibilities before we can even make them happen. So I think we need stories of friendship, unity, cooperation, choosing others over yourself. We need these kind of stories.
Yeah. I think that means a lot right now. It's a really like powerful thing. And I like what you said. Like you have to, it's easy to say that you should try to make things different, but for a lot of people, including ourselves, sometimes you need a vision of what that could be before you know like what you want to make in the world around you. Unfortunately, we're almost out of time, but if you could give Project Hail Mary a one-phrase subtitle of your very own, what would it be?
If you'd like to read a story where science and friendship saves the universe, read Project Hail Mary before going to see the movie.
So science and friendship save the universe.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wait, this has been so fun. I'm so glad that I waited. Listeners, I heard from Milène that she wanted to talk about this story. I saw that trailers had come out. I've been like black boxing. I didn't look at any trailers. I didn't read anything else because I could feel Milène's excitement through our messages about this. And I'm so glad I waited. Okay. So thank you so much for sharing this with us.
Thank you for having me.
This
I'm
has
so
been
happy.
so fun. I feel really good coming out of this show. I feel very inspired.
Nice.
So like really, thank you so much for your time. This has been such a joy.
Thank you.
And thank you to all of you out there for listening. This has been Tales of Our Time on Radio Taiwan International. I was your host, Amanda Stevens, with my guest, Milène. And today we were talking about Project Hail Mary. Science and friendship save the universe. A tale of our time. We'll see you next time.